MAGA Republicans have a new fake story to be outraged about because last night on a Zoom call, President Biden referred to the comments made by Donald Trump and those at his Madison Square Garden rally about Puerto Rico and about really Americans that don't support them more broadly as garbage. Now, those comments, those statements, that disgusting joke was garbage, but MAGA is trying to twist President Biden's words into saying that he's attacking half the country and they're melting down because Donald Trump is allowed to say that America is garbage, but Joe Biden isn't allowed to call out Nazi rhetoric. It's just absolutely nonsensical. And one of the most dishonest Trump stooges who is defending this is Scott Jennings, who last night was on CNN, but unfortunately for him and fortunately for us, so was I Am Politics girl Leigh, who we love on this show, and she shut Scott down in an incredible takedown that left him silent, really actually humiliated him as well, and we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into Leigh's takedown of Scott Jennings, there was an incredible argument she made on behalf of President Biden's record that I think is really important now, that I think we should take a look at right here.
Gas prices they're actually going down.
Radically down. And as soon as they stop draining the SPR, they're going to go right back up again.
I think this is all a piece of a double standard that I think is being applied to Kamala Harris, left, right, and center. If we want to talk about people and their ability to acknowledge where things might have gone wrong or could have gone differently, I'd encourage you to name one time that Donald Trump has said, you know what, I got this wrong.
He said he could have hired better people in the first. He made some mistakes with some hiring.
That's because none of them endorsed him.
I worked with him. I'm there.
No, okay. So if your claim is that the only thing that he has acknowledged doing wrong is hiring John Kelly, Esper, Milley, and all the people who have
She can't even say that.
No, but
but look at the reasons why he's saying that is because they have all said this man is a threat to the way we as a country function. I guess if hiring people that are not loyal enough to you and too
but
loyal
here's
to
the one
country,
fundamental difference.
Fair play.
He has a record that people remember. 2/3 of the American people think our country's on the wrong track.
You're raising a correct question. The problem is that the most adjacent person to Harris is Biden, and he is the current president. And contrary to Bakari's new math, he does not have a 49% approval rating. There's a reason he's not the candidate. He has an approval rating for most of his term below 40%.
What's Trump's national approval rating?
Donald Trump's retrospective approval is now over 50%. So the reason, and I think Abby was
what
correct.
Is his current national approval rating?
I think you're miring down in the approval ratings and the percentages.
That's not an approval rating stuff.
The gist of what you're saying.
That's not an approval rating.
Reason, what you said is correct. The reason you would separate yourself from the less popular person is because people clearly don't want it anymore, and she's not yet done that, which is, I think, the point you were raising.
And if I may make a point before we carry on, I think it would be great if she could run on what Biden has done, because what Biden has done is actually tremendous. And I think it is absolutely bananas that she has to even think of distancing herself from the Jobs and Infrastructure Act, from the CHIPS Act, from the PACT Act. We haven't done infrastructure. Why are you laughing?
Please keep talking about the CHIPS Act. If you look at the polling on the issues, Joe Biden is 60% disapproved on every single major issue.
Listen, Mark.
All right, Leigh.
There are things that have passed in this country that haven't been done in years. Infrastructure. We're going to start seeing things 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. People are going to say, in retrospect, holy heck, was Joe Biden a fantastic president? But right now, we have to pretend that he was some god-awful president when, honestly, he passed more major infrastructure bills, more things for guns, more things for the climate, more things for the veterans, and the Republicans voted against all of it.
And
so to say that we have to run away from him is absolutely crazy, and yet the propaganda works, and you guys keep banging on the same things, and you say he was terrible, and we're going to see in the future he wasn't terrible, he was fantastic, but she has to differentiate herself from him right now.
I do agree with the strategy that it is necessary for Kamala Harris to distance herself from President Biden due to his lack of popularity, which I think is ridiculous, like Leigh said, because of the incredible agenda that he has passed. But we do need to remember years from now, as we start to see the impact, an impact which we have already started to see, that Joe Biden was the most consequential president in decades. And we will remember that in the sacrifice that he made to defend our democracy. And so I think it's important that we bring that up and, of course, continue to talk about the same message that the Biden-Harris administration delivered on that Kamala Harris will continue to push. And that message and that agenda is the opposite of what Leigh called out Scott Jennings for in this clip right here when he was talking about Project 2025.
The stagecraft of it was part of the story. I mean, she went back to where Trump was. She, on the eve of this election, a week out, put together, we're hearing from authorities, 52,000 in the ellipse itself, and there was overflow. That's a huge crowd for this. That's, 2008 size Obama crowds. That says something about what's happening with Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to get 90% of the vote in Washington, D.C., so I would hope she could draw a crowd from her town that's going to give her the most support and from a bunch of government bureaucrats. I would hope they would turn out for that. Look, I was sort of taken aback by the absolute full-on attack on Trump. We've heard it all before. It sounded a little frantic to me, to be honest, this close to the end of the election. I took a few notes. Again, they're still pushing the lie about Project 2025. It doesn't matter how many times she says it. Donald Trump did not write it. He has disavowed it. This is not his agenda. He has his own campaign agenda. It is not Project 2025.
No, it's Agenda 47, which is exactly the same as Project 2025. And you can say that as many times as you want, Scott, but it's not true. So just to say here and say, I've said this a million times and it's not his plans that's a very smug way to look at me, my friend. The thing is that what we're doing is we're talking about what she's planning for us. And you're saying 100,000 people, she could draw that anywhere if it was in Washington, D.C. You're totally overlooking what she has done here. She's brought together 100,000 people to say, I look forward to the future. I will be a president for everyone and not just a president for the people that I like. And if you look at it in contrast to what we looked at Madison Square Gardens, which said, hey, man, we don't like you, we don't like you, we don't like you, we don't like you, we're not for you, we're not for you. And she's saying, everyone is an American. Everyone will be taken care of. And to the point that we were making earlier, she's saying, here's what the future looks like under me.
Let me play a little bit more from, I'll let you jump back in, Scott, don't worry.
Not only do I love that Leigh was calling out Project 2025, calling out just the ridiculousness of the argument being made by Scott Jennings and talking about Kamala Harris and the message of hope that she is bringing, but I love that she called out his smugness too, making a stupid face, trying to pull some gimmick out. No. We don't want to hear from you, Scott. We don't like to see you. We don't like to hear you. No. We're done with you. That was incredible by Leigh. I love to hear it. And returning, though, back to the point about this meltdown that MAGA is having over President Biden's comments, calling them out for calling America garbage, that they are trying to twist somehow. Donald Trump went off in the just craziest tangent possible and hitting on some things that he loves to talk about in his speech last night. And this clip isn't getting enough attention, so I want to check it out because there was something that everyone missed, and then we're going to call it out.
Allowed this to happen to us. She allowed us to be invaded. We were invaded. This was a massive invasion of criminals. She has violated her oath, eradicated our sovereign border, and unleashed an army of migrant gangs who are waging a campaign of violence and terror against our citizens. It's vicious what's happening. They're killing our people. Kamala has imported criminal migrants from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions from all around the world, from Venezuela to the Congo. The Congo. They're supplying lots. They're taking them out of their jails. They're opening up their jails, and they're busing them. They can't get enough buses, frankly, because I'm shocked. Venezuela is only about 60% empty. Do you know that Venezuelan crime is down 72%? You know why? Because their criminals are being taken into the United States of America. It's like I said this, the press gave me a hard time on this one. They said it was very I don't think it's disrespectful. It's like we're a giant garbage can. That's what they treat us like.
So it's interesting that as Donald Trump continues to say America is a garbage can, or it is garbage, or it is awful, or it's a third world country, or banana republic, whatever he wants to say, he then pivots into saying that he'll be the protector of women and that women like him, this other nonsensical talking point that's somehow become a part of his stump speech. But what you notice there is the connection between the two. Donald Trump is saying he wants to protect quote-unquote women from the quote-unquote garbage coming into our country. That is how Donald Trump views immigrants. That's how he always has. That's why he says they're poisoning the blood of the country. That is the argument that he is trying to make here, that he wants to keep people out and protect America for certain Americans. And we know who those people are. But especially those people are Donald Trump supporters. Those are the people who will serve Donald Trump. Who he really wants to protect more than anyone, though, is himself, his rich friends, and of course, Vladimir Putin. And that is the opposite of the message that Kamala Harris is delivering, trying to bring about this inclusive big tent coalition and talking about a brighter future, in contrast to Donald Trump's fascistic tendencies. And we see that in the clip right here from her speech last night.
Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. I pledge to you to approach my work with the joy and optimism that comes from making a difference in people's lives. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. And to always put country above party and self.
Trump is a wannabe autocrat. Kamala Harris wants to bring us together. You heard her hit on the fact that there are Republicans who have never voted for a Democrat in their life backing Kamala Harris because they know democracy is the most important policy, and you can differ with Kamala Harris on policy, but at least we're all going to come to the table and have a discussion about how to move this country forward, not how it best serves Donald Trump. And that's what we need to continue to talk about in the final days of this campaign. It's what we're going to be talking about on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.